Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jody. My husband David John and I have a small farm in the panhandle of North Idaho. These are our stories and adventures, so welcome to Moose Flats Farm. And the other day David John dug a trail out to our garden hoop house and everything looked good, and then the next day he's like, yeah, we have an issue with the garden hoop house. And I've been working weird shifts, so feed in the morning when it's dark, feed at night when it's dark, so it wasn't until last night that I got to see what the issue is. So let me show you guys what's going on. And from this side you really can't tell what the issue is, so let's go around and show you what we got going on. The messy collection behind the greenhouse itself. And you can kind of see now, this whole side is caving in. It wasn't so much the snow that was the issue, it was the melt and the rain that we got the other day. That, because I've got the asparagus along the outside of the hoop house, the snow had nowhere to go, but so it wound up just sticking to the side. So we're gonna go through and get this dug off and hopefully get it straightened back up before another snowstorm comes in. And just like that, it popped right back into place once we got all the snow off it. But I did wind up with 2 spots where and I don't think it was the pepper plants, but the stakes that I had holding the pepper plants up poked through. So we've got one there and a big rip right there. But what we'll wind up doing this spring, once the plastic's dry, is we've got some clear tape for the garden, or the hoop house plastic, that we can patch that with. But not bad, it's back to its original shape. And one thing that's interesting is all along the side there, it was thawed out to the asparagus pots. And somebody's going to be brave and look at the other side.
Got some snow.
And there's the other side. And this is the side last year we had the issue with it wanting to collapse in on us. So now we gotta probably go do something fun. So while David John went through and cleaned the other side of the hoop house off with snow, I did go through and prune all the peppers back. Had that little batch of buckbrush that's creeped up underneath. But to show you how tenacious fennel is, got 2 little plants there, nice green leaves, and it's growing beautifully. And we have not planted fennel seed in like 7 years, and every time we find it we eradicate it because it will just take over. But what else do we have in here? The little onions are, they'll probably, because they're looking like they're starting to sprout, they'll probably just go straight to flower this year. The rosemary and a couple chive plants. And these onions over here are probably going to do the same thing. Because, see that new growth? And this area, peppers cleaned up. But the ground is, the top little bit layer is just peat moss, and that's not frozen. But that's not super frozen, but definitely or is it just dry? No, that's frozen. So I won't be able to go through and get the, as I say that, they come out, the tags out. Okay, the tags weren't coming out. So, since I can do that, I'm going to go through, pull the tags. But I know that's frozen in. So it doesn't make a complete goof of me. So it will be later this spring, once everything starts thawing out, that I'll get the pepper root balls dug out so I can get it replanted. and restring the soaker hose, making sure it works this time. Well guys, I'm really glad on the garden hoop house and on the bird hoop houses that we have that center ridge line, just because if we hadn't have had that, the garden hoop house would have completely collapsed and just been a major reconstruct. But that crisis is averted. We are now into 2023. I'm excited. I get to get my hands in the dirt for the first time this year. Not planting seeds, but I do have some houseplants that I need to get transplanted, and I sponsored the Arbor Day this year just to get the free trees, because I don't know, I was thinking they were going to be bigger. So I got 5 little evergreens and then I think 6 twigs that we're going to have to go through and get these guys up potted before I can start rearranging the seed shed. Forgot where I was. Rearranging the seed shed so we can get ready to get the rigid insulation and the OSB up on the sides. So let's go through, take a look at my houseplants and the selection of pots that I have for them and get them transplanted. So it is kind of an eclectic mix that I'm working on today. We have this very old, it's a form of yucca, not sure what type, not really a cactusy person. This guy here that we got from a friend. My angel wing begonia that has honestly seen better days, but it does have new growth coming on it, so it's going to get transplanted. The little jade plant that I got from my dad this year, and then these 3 Christmas or Easter cactuses, not sure which. And I have this amaryllis bulb. It has grown and bloomed once, started to grow again, and then died back. But I was just going to throw it away, and David John's like, well, I see some green on it, so we are going to put it back into a pot and see if we can get it to go. So let's get these guys, oh, the selection of pots. So I have this Department 30 pot. I actually bought it for David John when he worked for the Home Depot in Millworks. I have my Asian pot in the back, the 2 purple ones that those Christmas cactuses are in, this blue one, and then just a collection of empty ones. I think the 2 cactuses I'm going to put in these ceramic pots, just because the cactuses, well, a bunch of these are cactus-like plants, but the 2 main cactusy ones I'm going to put in those pots because those are the heaviest pots, and these guys like to lean over. And then we'll just work through what we've got to see what we end up with. Okay, so since these 2 are here, we're going to start with the yucca and then the other guy. So we're just going to put a little fresh dirt in the bottom, and I do have some paper towels and sand down in the bottom just to help with drainage and then not losing soil out of the bottom. And you want to transplant your house plants. Typically it's usually about once a year to once a year to about every year and a half. It's like my big Christmas cactus down there. Probably should be transplanted, just I don't have pots for it to do right now. But so what you're going to want to do, we're going to also kind of clean this guy up while we're at it. And see how root bound he is? He's popping out of the bottom. There we go. And he definitely was ready to be transplanted. So just like if we were transplanting something going out into the garden, just going to gently tease his roots so that they will spread out into the new pot. Nice long root. Okay, let's see if we guess the soil level. That's pretty close. And then we're just going to go through and backfill down around him. See if I can get him kind of in there on an angle so he's growing upright as opposed to sideways. So there we go. It's about a ½ inch from the top of the pot, so there is room for watering. For the most part, these will be bottom watered. And I may have planted them what looks like a little deeper than they were, but let me grab the camera. As you see, that right there, that's a root coming out. So having some soil close to that will encourage it to grow some more structural roots. So once I get these guys down to the house, I'll take them all, put them in the kitchen sink, and give them a good soak, just because it's easier to carry them down dry than soaking wet. Looks pretty cool. Set him off to the side and do the next one. So, as you can see, the angel wing begonia has seen better days. So, I'm gonna take my little trellis off and kind of prune these long suckers off and see what we have down below. Where did I put my scissors? So there definitely is a lot of growth down below new growth. Let's see what the... and it's not growing out the bottom yet. So I think all I'm going to do on him is just prune off all the tall, straggly stuff and call him good. Because, yeah, I've got a lot of new growth coming on down in there. And I'm just going to I just cut this out of the top of it because this guy does get air roots and will root itself. Just going to take it and stick it down in there, kind of pinch the soil back around it. Well, he may not have gotten a new pot, but he definitely looks better than he did. And I really don't want to change him out of that pot since David John bought me that pot specifically for that plant. So I think I'm going to plant... No. Go. I'm going to plant this Christmas cactus in the D30 pot because I think it is, if anything else, it is a little bit deeper. And then we'll plant the little Christmas cactus into here. And on the Christmas cactus, you have to be very, very careful in transplanting it because its leaves break off so easy. But the worst thing that happens if it does that, you can take and just re-root the leaves. Pot going to be big enough. Change of plans. So I've got these kind of cool plastic pots. They're like a coppery red. So I'm going to use that for the two of the bigger Christmas cactuses. So on this one here, like if I had a big branch that had broken off, which that's where this one came from, and I just took it and buried it down into the plant, into the soil, because at its leaf junctures it puts off roots, and this is a quick way you can go from having just a few Christmas cactuses to lots of them. And same with this little guy over on this side. He was a broken leaf that I added. Okay, that gets him good. So, actually I think I'm going to plant the amaryllis in the bigger pot. And because he's got this really big root ball, I'm going to take it and gently set it in and then hold him about where you want him, because you want the soil to be just about right where my thumb is. So most of the bulb will be up out of the ground. So I'll show you guys completed what these guys look like. Then I'm going to take them all down to the house, grab a cup of tea, and come up and we'll get these trees planted. So back in a minute. Well guys, I know last time I saw you I was going down to the house to get tea, and now I have coffee and it's the next day. We had plans this year on rearranging the living room, and yesterday afternoon wound up being the day we rearranged the living room. So when I took the houseplants down, David John was in full force, and it didn't seem fair that to leave him to do all of that cleaning and rearranging, so I stopped what I was doing to help him with that project, since it was my original design to really start getting it rearranged. So let's go through and get these trees planted and see how much of this we can get rearranged today, because I am back to work today. Okay, we're going to start with the evergreens, and because these are bare root, you're going to want to plant to just about where the roots start on these guys. So right about a 1/4 inch above the roots. Just gently tease them down into the soil, and we'll backfill around them. And we'll wind up bottom watering these guys, and then if need be we can always come back and add more soil to them. So the trees are going to be a little more involved. They are all labeled, and I've got my little template of what's what by the color on them. So we are going to have to go through and label each stick. And I will leave No, I can't leave the bands on, so... Well, I can on this one since it's a single, but since this one's a double, definitely make sure we label our pots. Okay, so they say this is none, so this has got to be the Eastern Redbud. White is the flowering dogwood. Green is the crabapple. And even though they say yellow, and this is orange, I have no yellow, and there's two of these, so this must be the crepe myrtle. And I don't remember if I said this earlier, but these are going to have to stay in here because the ground is completely frozen. And I don't want them to start growing or go outside because they've probably already started to want to grow, especially getting them into soil. So there, that gets them transplanted. So I wound up with a Sargent's crabapple, flowering white dogwood, Washington hawthorn, 2 eastern redbuds, and 2 crepe myrtles. The evergreens are Norway spruces. So I'm gonna go through, kind of get the table cleaned up and work on getting those plants moved out of the way. Okay, so that gets this half, other than the lights and the racking, pulled down. So other than a little bit of sweep up, we're almost ready for getting the sides put on. So everything that could be brought out, I did bring out and just have it stacked out here on the deck. The black trays I have upside down so they don't fill full of water and freeze. But I got my soil in the chair out here and some pots. So let's go down to the house and see what it looks like. Well guys, this is the basic new setup of the living room. Got it more set up as a living room than a completely open house. We've had it, this is the way David John originally had it when we first moved in, and I've changed it a couple different times, but New Year kind of change it even though it's back to what it used to be. So this is where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you have a good day and a good week, and until the next one, bye for now.